Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss one of the very important chapter from pharmaceutical jurisprudence, that is Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940. With respect to exam, this chapter is very important because if you see the chapter wise distribution, mark distribution, then near about 40% marks are get contributed for this chapter, that is Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940. What we are going to see in this chapter, there are different sectors are there which related to our profession as well as which is related to a pharmacy field. This chapter is get divided in majorly three part. First one is designing of this act. Second thing, implementation of this act, in what manner the act is get implemented. And third one, if this act is not performed or if this act is get breached by anyone, then what could be the consequences? What could be the some offenses and penalties for them? So in this three major part, it is get divided. As well as this chapter is giving information about this pharmacy act or the pharmacy profession is not only limited with allopathic system of medicine, but also it is get covered other system of medicine like Unani, homeopathic, Ayurveda. These part also get covered under it. So whenever we are preparing any medicament, any doses formulations related to this system of medicines, there are few conditions that we have to follow. As well as we are going to see in what manner we could import any medicament. Whenever we export any medicament, it should have some criteria that we have to follow. In the same manner, whenever we are importing some medicament, that medicament also follow some criteria as per given by the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940. So this is a broad spec about the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940. Initially, we will see some administrative part about this Drug and Cosmetic Act. Then one by one, we will go there. And after finishing of this chapter, or near about closer to this end of the chapter, we are going to see the some clues in what manner we could understand some concept. Like if we see, for exam point of view, how could we remember the different schedules? Which schedule is responsible for what? Then next, the farm numbers. Which farm number is related to what? What the some conditions of the farm? There are few conditions which are very common that we are going to see, and if we follow these conditions, then in easy way we could add them and can collect the marks very confidently. So for that purpose, we could know what are these some basic conditions that we could follow. So like that, these are some conditions, some clues that we will discuss in end of this chapter. And let's start the chapter. What is the object of this chapter? The main object of this chapter of Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940 is this act was get passed within one beautiful object. The subject was to regulate the import, manufacturing, distribution, and sale of the drug. So whenever we are manufacturing or whenever we are using any type of drug, any type of medicament, then it has some procedure that we first will go for the manufacturing, then we will go for the distribution, then we will go for the sale. If we are not manufacturing, then we could import it. So whenever we are importing, whenever we are distributing, whenever we are manufacturing, it has some rules. It has some rules. And the same thing it could apply for the cosmetic too. That's why the chapter name given as Drug and Cosmetic Act. So which will be very applicable for both conditions, drug as well as the cosmetic. So the first thing is that the object is to regulate import, distribution, manufacturing, and sale of drug and cosmetic. So how will you do this? When we are saying that it is get regulated, so how will you regulate? So to regulate this aim, to regulate this object, this chapter is get subdivided in five parts. Five parts. The five parts is like chapter one. Every chapter is indicating its special character. The chapter one is related to introduction of this act. What is this? That is the introduction of act. Second one is it created or formulation of some important boards like Drug Technical Advisory Board that we call as DTAB. Second one that we call as Drug Consultative Committee. Second one that we call as Drug Consultative Committee as well as Central Drug Laboratory. So these are the different laboratories as well as the boards which will helpful for the proper administrating of the board. Whatever we are deciding whether it is in a right manner, whether we are going in a right manner or not, what are the different conditions that are created at ground level, that we should know. Because whenever we are creating, whenever we are formatting, whenever we are passing any law, we should take care of that. It should be implement or it should be applicable for all, and it should be very much friendly for the friendly at the ground level. If it is a friendly for ground level, then and then only it could be applied. Otherwise, it takes a lot time to implement. So for that purpose, some different boards are get formulated, some committees are get formulated that called as DTAB, that is nothing but Drug Technical Advisory Board, one of the very important board in for the exam point of view. Drug Consultative Committee, and last one is a Central Drug Laboratory. Next one is that Chapter 3 is giving information, or Chapter 3 is created for particularly some import of drug and cosmetic. What type of drug we could get import? Whenever we are importing any drug, what the standard it should get followed? In what manner? In the same manner, which type of cosmetics we could get import? Whenever we are importing any cosmetic, it should have some properties, it should have some ideal characteristics. Then and then only we could import it. So what are that? Which are the drugs, which are the some constituent, chemical constituent that are get banned? If they are present in that drug, in that cosmetic, then we should avoid the use. We should restrict the import. So what are these that are get mentioned in chapter 3, that is import of drug and cosmetic. Chapter 4 is give information about manufacturing, sale, distribution of drug and cosmetic. Chapter 4 is given information about manufacturing, sale, distribution of drug and cosmetic. And again, this chapter 4 is get bifurcated, subdivided, and named as a chapter 4A. This chapter 4A is in a provision, is prepared for making some provision related to Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani drugs. Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani drugs. So for Ayurvedic, Siddha, Unani drugs, this chapter is get prepared. That is called chapter 4A. And last one, chapter 5, that is called as miscellaneous. So apart from that, like some other conditions, form numbers, form conditions, as well as some conditions like schedules, or different schedules, some offenses, some penalties, likewise. These all are get covered in a miscellaneous. So it is covered under the miscellaneous. So this is what about the structure of this Drug and Cosmetic Act. Particularly in these chapters, particularly in these 5 chapters, this act is get divided, and as per that we have to prepare this chapter. So one by one we will go by introduction. Chapter 2 related to drug and cosmetic, related to Drug Technical Advisory Board, Drug Consultative Committee and Central Drug Laboratory. Chapter 3 import of drug and cosmetic. Chapter 4 manufacturing, sale and distribution of drug and cosmetic, particularly Ayurvedic, Unani preparations are covered in chapter 4A, and last one is in chapter 5 is in miscellaneous. So let's see one by one. We will start with one. So this chapter 1, that in introduction, it is yet covered that there are different schedules. There are different schedules, and these schedules are get covered. Schedules means what? Actually, schedules means nothing but one guideline. That is nothing but one guideline. It is one sentence which gives information about the whole criteria. Suppose if we are going to prepare a medicament and that we want to sell, so whenever we are going to sell that, it should have some conditions. So that is get mentioned in that schedule. What type of drug is there? Whether it's an antibiotic, whether it's an animal origin drug, whether it's an cosmetic, whether it's an any instrument, whether it's any rubber, latex, whatever it may be. So every part is there. If we are finding any lifetime period, means that is the expiry of that it has some standards. So that standards are get mentioned in these schedules. That is get mentioned in this schedule. So there are majorly two schedules: the first schedule and second schedule. What the first schedule? First schedule gives about the list of Ayurvedic and Siddha Unani preparations. List of Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani preparation. While schedule second gives it's a standard to be complied by some imported drugs as well as some manufacturing sale, etc. That we already seen. It is get referred in one definition like bulk drug. So in that definition, we are cover which is get referred in second schedule of Drug and Cosmetic Act, which is used as such or as an ingredient of any formulation that we call as a bulk drug. So in that bulk drug, there is one reference that is a second schedule. That is what the second schedule. The second schedule, that is nothing but there are some standards which should be get maintained, which should be get followed by the parameter. So this is in a second schedule. So this is what about this major schedule. Now, next one is that to comply these standards, there are certain standards are get prepared by this Drug and Cosmetic Act. So every standard is having its own specifications. So every standard means every procedure is having a specification. Likewise, we are going to see some schedules. So first we will see in detail all the schedules, and in next lecture we are going to see in what manner we could remember these schedules. In what manner we could remember this schedule. First one, Schedule A. This is an application for the licenses for the import of manufacturing, sale, distribution of drug and cosmetics, and the forms which the licenses are granted and renewed and in the form. So we need to be an application. What type of application for the license? For what the license you want? You want a license for the manufacturing, sale, distribution, likewise. So if you want to start such things, then you should require application. So how will you get this application? That application, which type of application? Because number of procedures are there. Each procedure should have a unique identification. That's why they are given some numbers. Like form number 19 is for other than schedule C and C1X drugs can be sold under the section 90 under form number 19. If you want to sell other than schedule C and C1 and X, then you need to fill a form number 19. Likewise, so it has some specification. So each and every, so number of the procedures, number of the other operations are there. So as per operations, every operations they have given one number. So that we call as a form number. So this form number is get mentioned in this schedule that we call as Schedule A. Next one, Schedule B. That one is a Schedule B. What is the Schedule B? It is a fees. For what? Fees for analysis. What type of analysis we can do? We can do analysis of drug or cosmetics. And that analysis could be done, or analysis should have some charges. And what type of analysis we are going to perform for that? As per that, they have mentioned their charges. So as per the guideline by the Central Drug Laboratories, they have given the information about the charges for analysis. Next one, Schedule C, the list of the biological and special products. C1, the list of the biological products other than special products. We will see in details later. Schedule D is in a class of exempted type of drug. These drugs are get exempted. These drugs are getting from where it is get exempted, which are exempted from the certain provisions applicable to import. When we want to import a drug, that I told you, we should have some conditions, and such there are few drugs which could be get exempted from such a list. So what are these? Like a vaccination now. So it has some provisions that have little bit exempted from that. So like this. So this is the Schedule D. Next one is Schedule E1. It's on a list of Ayurvedic, Siddha, Unani poisonous substances. List of the poisonous substances. There are a number of substances are available, but to whom we can call as a poison? About them, it is get mentioned in Schedule E1. Next one is Schedule F. It is a standard required for running of blood bank, standard required for running of blood bank, standard required for running of blood bank. Next one is that F1, F2, F3, these are things. A special provision applicable for vaccines, sera, and diagnostic agent, that is get mentioned in F1. F2, that is standard for surgical dressing. F3, that is a standard for umbilical tape. FF, that is a standard for the ophthalmic preparations. When we are trying to prepare ophthalmic preparation, how it should be get prepared, it is get mentioned in schedule FF. Now next, very commonly we are observing this schedule G on different types of the doses formulation, some tablets, some injectables there where they have mentioned this schedule G. What is the schedule G? As a list of the drug which is to be which should be used by the patient under the supervision of medical person, and which shall be labeled with words caution, which shall be used by the word caution. What is the caution? Keep it, remember, always schedule G have a caution. Caution, what caution? It is a dangerous to be taken the preparation except under the मेडिकल सुपरविजन. मेडिकल सुपरविजनच्या शिवाय हे औषध घेणं खूप धोकादायक असतील. Next one more schedule which is very commonly we can observe in any strip, that is the schedule H. That is the list of the drug which is to be sold by the retailer against the prescription of registered medical practitioner only. Registered medical practitioner only. Means whenever we have a prescription, then and then only we could use this schedule H. In addition, nowadays schedule H1 is also get added according to the new formulation, according to the new amendment. Schedule H1 is also there. So with schedule H drug there should be a warning. With schedule H there should be a warning. What the warning should be? The warning should be to be sold by the retailer on a prescription of registered medical practitioner only. This type of word should be get mentioned on the prescription as a warning. As a warning. When warning comes, when it comes under schedule H. When caution comes, it comes under schedule G. Next one, schedule J, name of diseases and some elements which by whatever the name described, which the drugs may not purpose to prevent or cure by means of claims or made on a label. That is schedule J. Schedule K, the names of the drugs, class of the drugs. Schedule K, the provision for exempted for provision for complying from particularly some manufacturing sale and standards. Main points I am going to read it, and in detail you all have in a book or notes, in that it is already mentioned. Next one, schedule M. Schedule M, that is nothing but the good manufacturing practices that we call as GMP, and is required for the requirement for the premises, the plants and equipment of the manufacturing drug. And this schedule M is again bifurcated in three subparts. M1, particularly requirement for factory premises, particularly for homeopathy. Second, M2, that is the requirement for factory premises of the cosmetics. M3, that is the requirement for the factory premises for manufacturing of the medical devices. These are the M1, M2 and M3. Then next one is that schedule N for Nagpur, schedule N, the list of the minimum equipment required for the premises for the smooth and effective running of the pharmacy. That is the schedule N. Next one, schedule O, that is nothing but standard for disinfectant. Standard for disinfectant. That is a schedule O. Next one, schedule P, that is life period of a drug. Life period, that is nothing but expiry. We could how to find out the expiry, that is get mentioned in schedule P. Next one, schedule P1, that is a pack size of drug. There are few drugs which are available in 10 tablet strip, 10 capsule strip. There are few packing which are available which contains the 30 capsules or 30 strips, 30 tablets. There are few bottles which are available in 30 ml. There are few bottles which are available in 50 ml. There are few bottles which are available in 100 ml, 500 ml. So how So it is get mentioned in pack size. That all get mentioned in a pack size. Next one, standard Q. That is in a list of the coal tar colors which could be used in some cosmetics. So in that cosmetic, we could prefer it. Next one is schedule R. That is the standard label required for the standard or the labeling required for the condoms, as well as some copper T, as well as some contraceptive. So all these are the things which are related with the, just a minute. So all these are the requirements related to some contraceptives, some condoms, some copper D, as well as some contraceptive other devices. Next one, schedule R1, standard of to be complied by some medical devices. It is get mentioned in R1. Next one is less, that is standard for the cosmetic. Schedule T, that is requirement factory premises, some hygienic conditions to be complied with manufacturer, particularly for manufacturing of some Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani drugs. So it is as per the schedule T. Next one schedule is, that is schedule U, particularly to be shown on a manufacturing record, to be mental for the analytical records. Then schedule V, particularly for standard for the patent and proprietary medicines. Schedule W, that is related to the name of the drug shall be marketed as generic name only. And last schedule X, that is the name of a drug or list of the drugs comes under psychotropic substances. So all psychotropic drugs are get covered in schedule X, that called as schedule X drug. And last one, that is a schedule Y, that is nothing but requirement and guideline for the clinical trials for import and manufacturing of the new drug. So whenever we are having some clinical trials, these all clinical trials are get mentioned in schedule Y. So these are the some schedules that, as per that schedules, we could remember, we could follow the some conditions for the procedure, and these are get mentioned in this. Next lecture, we are going to see in what manner we are going to remember few of the schedules. So it will be very much easy to remember. So this is what about some schedules. Then last one is last one for the today's lecture is an administrative bodies. The administrative bodies are get divided in three major part. First is an advisory body, that is the Drug Technical Advisory Board, which covers under Drug Technical Advisory Board. So these are the two advisory bodies that I told you. That is Drug Technical, that is Drug Technical Advisory Board, and second one is a Drug Consultative Committee. These are the two advisory bodies is there. Next one is an analytical. So whenever we are telling out or whenever we are discussing about any analyticals, so analytical, that is name itself indicate analysis of something. So who will do analysis? That is a Central Drug Laboratory, Drug Control Laboratory, as well as the government analyst. So these are the three parameters which comes under the analytical condition. And last one, that is an executive. So in executive, we can see here one simple, there is one simple clue for you. So there is an executive, any executive office or any executive room, any executive parameters are there. So generally it refers to, it has some lavish thing. So whenever we are related to a lavish thing, that it has some like LCD, like all the project, all projections and everything is get mentioned like LCD, L for that is licensing authority, C for the custom collector, and D for the drug inspector. So what is their role? So they all people will control some operations. How they will control the operations? By rules and regulations, whatever they have given as per their rules and regulations, these authorities will control. Means licensing authority will give the license to only the eligible person. So custom collector will collect only, are only allowed some medications or drugs which are standard as per the DNC Act, importation and exportation. And drug inspector will check the manufacturing, sale and distribution drug, whether these all activities are performed as per the act or not. So this, whatever the act is theoretically available, it is get executed. It is get executed by these people. That's why they call it as an execution. Means amlat anani, vaparat anni. These all peoples will actually do the things that we call as an executive. So this is what up for, this is for our today's lecture. What we had seen today, we had seen that is what is the aim of this aim or object of chapter Drug and Cosmetic Act. Second, in what manner this chapter is get, or this particular aim is get divided. Five major chapters are there who are get divided. First one is introduction, second that is DTAB, DCC, CDL, third one is an import of the standard for the import of the drugs and cosmetics. Then fourth one is the manufacturing, sale, distribution. Fourth A, that is the manufacturing, sale, distribution, Ayurvedic preparation, and fifth one is the miscellaneous. And then we had seen there are different schedules, schedule first and schedule second. Schedule first is related to the books, list of the books of the Ayurvedic, Siddha, Unani, and schedule second is then some standards which are get mentioned in the book. That is the second schedule. And then we had seen the different schedules A, B, C, C, C1, F, F1. Likewise, we had seen last one, that is an administrative agencies, administrative bodies. So in that administrative bodies, we had seen three administrative agencies. One is advisory, second one is called analytical, third one is an executive. So these are the parameters. So thanks for the listening. If you have any doubt, any query, let me discuss, and I'm trying to clear all this your doubts. And if you have any doubt apart from that, and if you want to communicate, just put a message in comment box. I'm trying to clear you as possible, as much. Thank you very much. Thanks.